It's not an exaggeration to say that this year's election is coming at one of the scariest times in American history. I mean, yes, because of the pandemic, but also because there's never been an easier time to accidentally leak your own nudes. No, I'm not talking about this Captain America. I'm talking about the actual Captain America. That shield's not the only thing made of vibranium. It's easy to think our current national nightmare was caused by the president alone, but the Republican-led Senate has enthusiastically endorsed his agenda to accomplish a lot of horrifying things, like packing the courts with conservative judges, holding up life-saving legislation, or, in the case of Mitch McConnell, swallowing a fish and carrying it in his throat like a pelican. That's why it's so important to flip the Senate this election. And the good news is we might actually be in flipping range.
It's an election year, and Republicans are getting nervous they could lose control of the Senate, pointing to the floundering economy and the way the president is dealing with the pandemic. But now 10 seats could be in play, and Republicans could be facing some disadvantages.
Of course, one of the disadvantages that Republicans often face is that they are all little bitches. Surprisingly, some of the most vulnerable Senate seats up for grabs are in conservative states such as South Carolina, where a Democrat hasn't been elected to the Senate since 1998. And even then, he only won because he was literally a big hot buttered biscuit. The D next to his name stood for delicious. Republicans' dominance in South Carolina could all change thanks to an extremely competitive campaign by Jamie Harrison, who's running to unseat three-term Republican Senate veteran and gentleman corpse found by a river, Lindsey Graham. Recent polls show Harrison and Graham are virtually tied in the race, and Harrison has actually been outraising Graham while energizing South Carolina's black community and suburbs. That's an amazing achievement, especially at a time that Republicans are treating the black community and the suburbs as if they're at war with each other. I mean, look, I'm not saying Jamie Harrison is a superhero, although Jamie Harrison is kind of saying that.
Comic books. That's how I learned to read. Being born to a 16-year-old mom and raised by my grandparents in Orangeburg, we made do with the opportunities we created for ourselves. When they struggled to read their bills, I helped read them. When they lost their home, I promised to someday buy them a new one. When you send me to fight for you in Washington, I'll never forget that my only superpower is your trust.
He got that superpower when he was bitten by a radioactive spider who is passionate about the issues. Harrison's campaign is planning to mobilize as many of the state's 400,000 unregistered voters of color as they can. And if that's not enough, his friends say he makes a red velvet cake so good, apparently he could sell it. Unlike my red Velveeta cake, which is actually the first time a Chopped judge has ever hit a contestant. Throughout the race, Lindsey Graham has struggled with moderates and independents, but you know what they say, when the going gets tough, the tough get racist.
Lindsey Graham's re-election campaign putting out an ad featuring a digitally altered image of his opponent who is black with a darker skin tone. The image of Jamie Harrison was originally published in the New York Times. You can see that the Graham campaign altered it, okay?
I think the desperation is coming out. And so Lindsey Graham may have darkened my face, but it's Lindsey Graham who the people of South Carolina don't recognize.
Wow, that is incredibly racist. Also, Lindsey Graham really knows how to fearmonger. That ad includes the two things Republicans are most afraid of: black people and Kathy Griffin. Graham isn't the only Republican senator we have a chance to oust. In Arizona, there's another competitive race between current Senator Martha McSally and former astronaut Mark Kelly. It's not surprising that McSally could lose her seat because she never actually won it in the first place. McSally lost her first Senate race back in 2018 before being appointed by Arizona's governor to another Senate seat, replacing the guy who replaced John McCain. It's the ultimate participation trophy. Just like the Emmy I won this week for trying my best. Joke's on them, I didn't. McSally is Trump-like, both in her stances on the border wall and abortion, as well as her inability to communicate with the American people.
Senator McSally, should the Senate consider new evidence as part of the impeachment trial?
Man, you're a liberal hack. I'm not talking to you.
You're not going to comment, Senator,
You're a liberal
about this?
hack.
That's actually her default response to any question. It's why she never went to prom. McSally's opponent, Mark Kelly, is, need I remind you, an astronaut, and he has a twin brother who's also an astronaut. The only way you can tell them apart is an invasive bone density test. I mean that in their names, but where's the fun in that? Kelly is so far ahead in the race that Trump himself is concerned it's ruining his chances of winning Arizona, which is sad, because it means we might not get more of Trump awkwardly trying to say McSally's name.
Martha McSally.
And my friend, Martha McSally. She's the real deal, right, Martha? Martha McSally.
Martha McSally.
Martha McSally. I hear you're doing very well, Martha, wherever you may be.
You know, the only reason Trump pronounces Martha that way is because he thinks that's the way Thurston Howell III would say it.